Okay. These will not be for everyone, but they are definitely needing to be expressed externally. So I'm going to talk about some experiences over the last year with connecting to the land, to spirit of the land, specific areas, as well as in general. I think we can do this in any way, anywhere. But um, there are points to this form. So, just over a year ago, my wife was at a work event, and due to some drama I won't get into, they were on a trip in the mountains in Kananaskis, close by, a few hours away, and she needed to leave. She needed me to come pick her up. Um, Spur of the moment, pack the girls up in the vehicle and go to grab her. And after we grabbed her on the way home, we had already driven for about 3 hours to get there to get her, and we're about to drive 3 more hours. So we took some time and we stopped at a rest stop, and there was a waterfall there. And it was called Shawnee Falls. I think that's what it was called. I might be a little bit off on that, but it doesn't matter. That's just the name we've attached to it. Anyways, this was a special. We didn't spend too long, but it was a special moment. Everyone in the family picked a stone, and I had them all. We asked the land, and we asked the stones if there was anyone that would want to come with us. And I only speak to my own experiences with this. There was one. The stone that I took was, to me, it was a jaguar or a panther. It was like a water panther stone. It looked like a panther. I wish I had a picture of it. I probably do somewhere, but I don't have it with me right now. But I felt very deeply connected, like that this was going to be a part of something at the time. And sometime around then, I was watching a Gaia show, and I think it was one of the ones that just kind of talks about different aspects of spiritual knowledge, spiritual experience, and from different perspectives, right? So this one was about ley lines and systems. And I remember, I think what it was is, as they were talking about, one person was talking about ley systems, and they mentioned I think they mentioned Alberta, which is like, I live Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Um, I mean, it's a big enough city and stuff, but you don't not. It's far enough removed from the limelight that when you hear it, it's like, oh, what's that? And so there's this triangular ley system, and it's from Stonehenge to the Bermuda Triangle to a spot in Alberta here in the Badlands. It's called the Badlands Guardians. So there's two spots down near, I think it's Medicine Hat, near the Coolies, I think, but it's a fair bit south from like Drumheller area. And it's called the Badland Guardians. And if you look from satellite, the topography of the land is in the shape of Native American. There's two of them. One's like kind of like a warrior-esque. The other one's feels more chief like to me. But I can't speak to that. I don't know that for sure. But anyways, when I heard this, I felt very called to go there. And shortly after this visit to the waterfalls, one day on a weekend, it was like, we're going to do this. It's going to be a long drive. I told them, and it wasn't all around the most pleasant experience, but I think we all grew from it. Um, but then when we got there, we got to these guardians. The first one was pretty like you're not gonna get there. The road's blocked off completely. The second one's heavy duty barbed wire fence. I think there was like some sensor, even looked like it could be like electrically charged, but I think it was more like a sensor, like if someone goes by here, you're gonna know, kind of thing. And there had been a big tower nearby, and it was all kind of land. The land was locked down. It seemed like very much like they don't want you just kind of wandering around there. But we stopped at the second one, and we got out. Kids, we picked some sage that was growing on the side of the road, and I personally went up to the top of this hill. Oh, first when I got there was a goat, like a mountain goat. It was just there, like there was these two hills, and it just went right over the edge. And I have some writings on that. This is a very powerful experience. There was an eagle. We ended up seeing two eagles, and to me, those were the guardians. And the crows are singing in the background, but there was one eagle right there where we stopped with two baby eagles, teaching it to fly, flying around. And so I had brought that stone, and I knew that stone, there's something. I'm slowly making connections here that we'll see what form it takes. But okay, so I went up onto the mountain. It wasn't a mountain. I went up onto this hill that was part of this Badland Guardian, and it was like being on a mountain. It was like being on top of a mountain, but it was flat. Because this hill wasn't a mountain. It was a fairly big hill, but it was a hill. And I could feel just like this like vastness and this connection with the spirit of this land. And it was like this whole face of this like was a person, and it was like that was just the head, and its sphere of influence was the sky and the land and everything. And it was like I was only up there for 5 or 10 minutes, but it was something else. And I ended up I'm sitting on this rock, and I think it was a big huge piece of like jasper with some mica in it, some sparkle. But I took this jaguar stone and I put it underneath into like where the gophers had burrowed or whatever, because it was like it had a gift for the land. And I haven't gone back there yet, and I'm going to hopefully sometime at the end of the summer, because there's somewhere else that I want to go, and then we'll just continue to connect locally to the land and see how it presents. And hopefully I find more time to be intimate with it and one-on-one and whatnot, but because I had to rush and we had another big drive to go. So I put this jaguar stone into the land, and it was like a gift of water to the Badlands, which are typically a little bit more on the dry side, and just what that stone held to be shared there. And from there I got another stone, and it was like a square, a diamond shape, and it had like it's again, I have a picture of it somewhere, but it's gone now. This weekend it was brought back to those falls. But I got this stone, and it had a like a desert lizard vibe to it. Is the energy that I got, and it stayed with me. And I think there was an element of like there was a lot for me there in the desert, and the coming to terms with coming to I